I think my overall purpose with YouTube is always just to like say the things that I wish my favorite YouTubers would say, because I don't think, I don't think people are honest enough on YouTube. I don't think they're vulnerable enough, and there's things that we're all thinking and we're all feeling, and just nobody says them. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. So that's my why. I was hungover every single weekend, and like that was back when I had like no money in my bank account. I was literally living paycheck to paycheck, even though I made a really good salary. So okay, well, I like you, so I guess we're exclusive. Yeah, I just made myself really vulnerable there. Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm filming in a new spot today and I really like it. I'm like among my plants. So today I'm gonna be filming a Q&A for you guys. I just really wanted to like touch down back to earth, back to my channel, because I'm all over the place, but basically all of my videos are like from super long ago. I'm super behind on like editing and uploading, and basically the entire month of October, like we're just gonna get really quick. The entire month of October was like extremely hard for me. I don't like to throw around depression, as just like a word. I don't want to throw it around very lightly, but I really do feel like I was very depressed the month of October. And I don't know, like yesterday I did a huge journaling session. I journaled for like an hour and I felt like this film had just been lifted off of me, and I was just like, whoa, like I'm awake again. Like it was really weird. And I realized I know I'm just diving right in, but like I've just been wanting to get this off my chest. So hi, we're doing a Q&A. We're doing a Q&A. What's up? If you're new, I'm Zoe. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, but probably you're not new if you're finding this video, because whatever, I don't know. Hi. So yeah, what I realized was it's November, and every November I do this thing called Get Your Shit Together November. It's been now 6 years. I started it in university, and it's because the month of October has always been so hard for me. But it's like every year when October rolls around, I forget that every year October is really hard. So yeah, I realized yesterday, I was like, oh my God, it's November, like it's Get Your Shit Together November. I completely forgot. Like normally I'm like November 1st, ready. Now we're the 6th. And I was like, oh my God, it's Get Your Shit Together November. Like, duh, that's why you've been feeling so down, because every October you feel down because it's cold, it's dark, like, it's normal. You're okay, Zoe. And so I just feel a big relief knowing that there's a reason behind why I've been feeling so down. Because I was being really hard on myself, and I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you motivated? Like, and like YouTube has always been the thing that I'm always motivated to do no matter what. And so I was like, that's suspicious. That's weird that I haven't been down to like film and edit. So anyway, I just want to thank you guys for your kindness and for your patience with me, with the sporadic uploads this month. And yeah, I just really am going to get back on track. I definitely want to keep uploading twice a week. I love that schedule. I find it really, encouraging and motivating, and my channel's still growing like really quick. So thank you guys so much for that. Thank you for being so amazing and supportive. Like, you guys bring me so much happiness. It's unbelievable. So anyway, today we're gonna do a Q&A, and it's funny, it's really early. I'm filming this before work. This week has been so busy with work, so that's why I'm filming in a different background, because the lighting in my usual spot is too weird because it's early morning. So let's get into the questions. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me a bunch of questions, and you guys came through. Every time I do a Q&A, I get nervous. I'm like, oh my God, no one's gonna ask me questions. So these are not gonna be in any particular order or anything at all. I'm just gonna like go through and read them super unscripted. And I already like browsed through the questions, and you guys asked so many good ones. So I think we're literally just gonna chat for like a long time. Okay, I wanna answer every single question because I just want to reconnect with you guys. Obviously, I'm smiling really big because like it's making me really happy to be in a good place and be filming again. And okay, we're 5 minutes into the video and I haven't said anything. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the bottom of the questions, and I also got some on YouTube that I will address. So if you guys just want to see like a specific answer to a specific question, or you want to see if I answered your question, I will link, like I'll list all the questions down below with the timestamps so you guys can just like hop around and watch what interests you. Or you can do like me and grab a little coffee or tea and let's get into it. I just debated refilming the intro and then I was like, just leave it. We're just hanging out. We're just hanging out. Okay, so Laura asked, what do you think helped you get your first job out of university? So love that question. This is something I want to do a full video on, but I will give you guys my top 3 tips or top 2 tips right now. The first thing is going to networking events. I hated going to networking events. Like, I despised it. I find it so fake. I find it so uncomfortable. It's so awkward. Okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but it will get you a job. So as much as they suck, you have to go. I know right now they're all virtual. Go, make a good impression, connect with people. Literally, your network is your net worth, and I hate that expression, but it's so true. Like, knowing people, and you can literally just message them on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I'm looking for a job, and if you made a good impression, chances are they can give you a job. That's how I got my job. Okay, so I'm just editing this video and I realized that clip was really negative, but what I want to say is, what I want to add rather, is when you meet a company that you actually vibe with, it's going to feel good, and that's how you're going to, 1, make a good impression, and 2, know that this is a company worth working for. Overall, the networking events are super uncomfortable, but if you're talking to someone and like you're not vibing with them, chances are you're not going to want to work there. So yeah, overall, you know, the networking events suck. But for example, how I got my job was at a networking event. And I really, really liked the people I was speaking to, and I liked the way they described their work, and I liked the way they described their work-life balance and the office culture, like everything like that. And I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. It gets you excited. And you think, okay, that's the kind of place I want to work. So you kind of have to sift through like all of the more boring companies because it's all about fit, right? Like not everyone's going to fit everywhere. But through these events, you can find the really good places and really good people who are going to connect you with jobs. So hope that makes more sense. So networking events is key. And the next thing is get involved on campus. So I got involved super heavily on campus. I have a whole video about my university experience, but I did student government and I also did case competitions. And these made me stand out to employers so much, like more than my grades. I didn't have the best grades. I think I had like a 3.2 or 3.3 GPA, which is good. It's like average, but I didn't have like stellar marks. And yeah, it was really my involvement on campus that got me noticed because it kind of mimics work experience. It shows that you are someone who likes to go above and beyond, and that's really what employers are looking for. So those are my top 2 tips, but I'll probably do a full video on this. Let me know if that would interest you guys. Okay, love this question. Jess asked tips for dating during COVID. So this is so hard. This is something I talk about with my friends all the time. COVID dating is so hard because it's not like normal where you can meet someone, you know, at a bar, at a restaurant, at a coffee shop, and take your time getting to know them. Especially, you know, depending on where you live and what the restrictions are. Here we're in lockdown. Like you can't even go to the restaurant. So it's like, do you want to come to my house? And it's cold, so you can't really go for a walk. And are you just going to invite some stranger into your house? Like, probably not a good idea, girls. And don't go to their house either. So it's just weird, and I find it forces things to become more serious more quickly because it's like you can't date multiple people, right? You can't really date around. You kind of are like, okay, well, I like you, so I guess we're exclusive. Like it's really weird. So what would okay, this is my best tip. I haven't been dating that much during COVID just because I find it extremely like frustrating. But the thing that I found the best was ask them to FaceTime because you don't want to waste your time going and meeting someone, risking, you know, like your health, right? You don't want to get sick with COVID for somebody who you're not actually going to vibe with. And you can, I know it sounds awkward, but you can totally tell someone's vibe over FaceTime. I have had 2 FaceTime dates and they were both actually really good. And it made me feel a lot more comfortable if I want to go meet up with that person after, because it's like, okay, I know we get along. I know like you're not a catfish. I know you're a real person. And you know, you can just kind of talk and get to know each other. And the other reason that that's a really good tip is because a lot of, so I date boys, and so I'm speaking from my experience dating guys, and I don't know what this would be like in, you know, like a same-sex couple. I don't know if I was dating girls, if it would be different. I think it would actually, but a lot of guys don't want to FaceTime. They're like, oh, that's weird. Like, I don't want to do that. So if they're not willing to FaceTime you, it means that they're not willing to like make themselves uncomfortable for you or they're not willing to go out of their comfort zone for you, which means they're probably not worth dating. I feel, the reason I say it'd be different with girls is I feel like girls would be more down to FaceTime because I feel like girls are just more chill, but I haven't experienced that. So ask them to FaceTime. It will help you get to know them, and it will test whether or not they're even worth your time. Okay. Sydney asked, would you want to start a podcast? Yes, that's all I'm gonna say. Samantha Chal, advice on how to cope with job anxiety for post-grad. Oh my goodness. That is so hard, and unfortunately I don't really have any advice. I'm really lucky that I secured a job before I graduated, but I would just say trust yourself. Like, I'm trying to think of what I would do in this situation. Trust that what's meant for you will come for you. I know it's so hard dealing with rejections. Like, I've dealt with rejections before for like internships, and when I was looking to leave the Big Four, getting rejected for jobs that seemed really cool. It's really hard, but just remember, like, I like to trust that everything happens for a reason and that the universe guides me into the places that I need to be. So trust that, and in that case, you will end up in the right spot. Even if it takes you an extra month or two to find a job, you're better off waiting that time and ending up somewhere where you're going to be more happy than the opposite. So I know that's not the most helpful, but that would be my advice. Okay, I think this is Gabby? Asked Fave things about living in Montreal. So the first thing that I love is that it's a very affordable city. You guys have seen my apartment. I live in a really beautiful space and it's affordable. I would not be able to live in a space like this if I lived in Ottawa or Toronto, so I really love that. I also love the mix of English and French. I think it adds a lot of culture to the city. And I love like the restaurant and nightlife scene. Those are like kind of, they're my hobbies. They don't exist in COVID, but that is something that I really like to do, is like go out to eat, go out to drink, go out, you know, dancing. And I love that whole scene here in Montreal. I think it's really classy. I think it's really like European influenced. And the thing I love too is like, it doesn't end when you hit a certain age. Like, you'll see 50-year-olds, and not just like 50-year-old creepy guys, but you'll see like beautiful women like dressed up, looking amazing, who are older, and they're like out clubbing until 3 a.m. Like, I really, really love that. I think it's really fun and like gives the city a lot of character. Okay, Mathilde asked my go-to self-care activity. Definitely journaling, so important. I love it. Okay, Maeve asked, do you have a 5 or 10-year plan? The short answer is no. I have no effing idea what I'm doing with my life. I really am just trying to go with the flow. I have kind of like a vision for how I want things to be long term, but it's not really concrete, and it's kind of just, it's like a blurry vision. Okay, this is like a big question. So I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Elna, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Asked to you, what's most important about having more women in a problem-solving setting? And obviously that's like a really big question. I think overall, diversity is so important because it just brings different opinions to the table. If you have a bunch of straight white men sitting around a table, a lot of them had similar upbringings, they had similar life experiences, which makes you think the same way, which means you're not getting different opinions and ideas on how to solve a problem. When you bring women to the table, when you bring people of color to the table, that's when all the different backgrounds, all the different ways of growing up, all the different ways of thinking can help you look at a problem from so many different angles. And obviously, like, just for so many obvious reasons, that's really important. So I think it's not just about women, obviously it is, but it's also about women of color, people of color, like just diversity overall. Having different voices around the table is so, so important. Okay. Marisol. I hope I said that right. Tell us about your biggest financial mistake. I love this question. Okay, my biggest financial mistake, I think it was actually a collection of very small mistakes, and that was buying so many $15 cocktails. Why did I do that? I'm sure I've wasted over $1,000 in like fancy cocktails. And you know, it's nice to go out and have one or two on like a really special night with your friends. You know, for my friend's birthday this summer, we went and sat on a rooftop terrace. We had beautiful cocktails and it was special, and it's totally worth it because it's part of the experience. But I've done that in so many situations where I didn't even want to be there. Like I would have rather been home. I would have rather been with different people. And it was just like such a waste of money. And I think just like this crazy lifestyle inflation that I experienced with going out and just shopping all the time and going out for drinks all the time. I was always going out for drinks. I was always drinking. It's so unhealthy for you. Like so many times I was hungover all the time too. Like back in my big 4 days, like obviously I wasn't vlogging or anything as much, but I was hungover every single weekend. And like that was back when I had like no money in my bank account. I was literally living paycheck to paycheck, even though I made a really good salary. So yeah, that's my biggest financial mistake. Veronice asked, hey, do you have any new financial goals, or how are your current ones going? I love this. So my current financial goals are going really well. I am going to be having some update videos coming soon. I am so close to being paid off of my debt, so that is really, really exciting. And I'm starting to think about what my next goal will be. I definitely want to have an emergency fund of about $10,000. So I think that's going to be my next goal. And I'm scared to say this, but I really want to get a puppy. So I have to save up for my puppy. Okay. Okay, Maddie asked, what do you do for work? Would you ever want YouTube to be your full-time job? And just more details about my job, pros and cons. So to answer, would I want YouTube to be my full-time job? Yes, absolutely. I think everyone who's on YouTube does want that. It's kind of the ultimate dream job. However, I would never want to just be doing YouTube, because then I would have no content to like film about, and then I would not have a job because no one would watch me. So I think, you know, I would love, like my dream is really to have YouTube as like a full-time income, and then have like swap YouTube and like currently I do YouTube as a side hustle, and then I have a full-time job. I would love for those two to be inverted one day, where I can have YouTube as my full-time job and then have like more of a traditional job as a side hustle, because I think it's important to just diversify what you're doing. I think I'd get bored of just filming videos about nothing all day. And yeah, I would like to work in something else on the side. So that would be like my dream kind of situation. But who knows when or if that day will come. Hopefully it is, okay? Subscribe. Okay, and more details about my job. So for anyone who's new or is like, what does she do? I work as a software consultant. So what this means is we strategically implement software into businesses. So it's not like we just go in and we're like, here's your software, buy. We basically custom tailor it to the needs of an organization. And I work in an HR software. So I do SuccessFactors, which is an SAP product. And yeah, it's pretty cool. The day-to-day of my job is a lot of configuration. So because I'm kind of like the lowest level and I'm still learning the system, the best way to like learn about the system is to actually be in there playing with it. So that's things like if you want, you know, by clicking here, it does this, by, you know, it labels this, like it's very techy. It's very hard to explain. But essentially, like I will get a list of requirements from like my senior consultants, and then I go into the system and I make sure everything's working good and I like configure it. It's kind of nerdy. It's pretty fun. I really do enjoy like the tech side of it and like doing the actual configuration, because once you do it, you go back and test and you're like, oh, it worked. Like you see the results right away, which I think is really cool. That's definitely a pro of the job. As I progress and as I move up in my career, eventually I'll be more on the client side. So I'll be like demoing the software. I'll be showing them how to use it. I'll also be like explaining best practices of ways to use it, and I'll be like gathering requirements from the client and stuff. So normally it is the kind of job where you actually travel and you go meet the client and you give them demonstrations in person. Obviously, you know, all of that's changed now, but yeah, that's kind of a bit about my job. Some pros. I read this question last night and I was thinking about it in advance. So one of the things that I love is that it's not the kind of job where you have to be like clocked in from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Like within reason, you can kind of make your own schedule. Obviously, if you have calls, like you need to be there on your call. But sometimes, you know, I will take a break. I'll take like a longer lunch if I'm feeling stressed or whatever, if I just need a longer break, and then I'll work later into the day. And if I'm 5 minutes late because I'm making a coffee, you know, nobody's like, Zoe, where are you? Like, I think you're given a lot of trust, and I really, really love that. Like, I do not thrive under like a very watchful eye. Basically, as long as you are like available, like I could jump onto my computer, you know, at a moment's notice. It's very flexible. I really, really like that. What are some other pros? I already said, like, you get to see the results of your work right away. I feel like you're given a lot of trust. Like, maybe that's just my company, but they're very much like, okay, go do it. Like, I don't know. I think it's a good job. I would really recommend it for anyone who studied business. Like, it's not the kind of job that you hear about a lot. Like, everyone's like, oh, management consulting. You don't hear about tech consulting as much, but it's really cool. A con of the job, I would say, is that there is a lot of pressure. So because you're delivering things for a client, if they need it by Friday at 5 p.m., you better have it done by Friday at 5 p.m. So with the flexibility also comes, sometimes you're gonna have to work late to make sure that things are done, and that can be a lot of pressure. So that could be a con, but overall I kind of like it because I find if there's no pressure, it's like there's no motivation to get things done quickly. So I don't know, that's a bit about my job. Econ, I hope I'm saying this right. Econ. Ways you're keeping sane through second wave of COVID. Oh my God. I honestly haven't been keeping sane. Like, my whole rant at the beginning, I haven't been keeping sane, but I will keep you guys updated on how I move forward. Okay, Ali asked, when did you start your YouTube channel and why/how? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I started my YouTube channel when I was in the 8th grade. I filmed a haul. I went to Abercrombie and Fitch in Vermont, USA, and I came back and I had a big haul and I filmed it and I put it on YouTube. And from there I made outfit of the days, I made makeup videos. Like, I was obsessed with clothes and makeup in high school, and I would film stuff like that. All of those videos are private now. One day I will react to them and show you guys. But yeah, and I also, so I would edit with Windows Movie Maker. And then when I turned 15, I got my first job. I saved all of my money to buy a MacBook so that I could edit with iMovie like the real YouTubers. And why did I do it? YouTube was such a source of happiness for me. Like, there was one summer where I didn't really have a lot of friends, and all I did was watch YouTube videos, and like the YouTubers were my friends. And I just wanted to make YouTube videos too. Okay, my camera overheated, so I went and made myself a matcha. I love matcha so much, but I want to finish that thought. So I stopped making videos for a while because I was worried people would make fun of me, whatever. And anyway, I restarted because it was always like this little pull I felt inside of my heart. I was like, I have something to say. I want to say it. And yeah, so in 2 years ago, oh my God, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago on New Year's 2019, I said, that's it. No more fear, no more worries. I'm about to graduate anyway. I don't care what these people think of me. I'm restarting my YouTube channel. And then I went on study abroad and it kind of like fell off, but I was really lucky because I filmed this video about me moving from Canada to Australia. And I literally like cried the entire time in the video. I was super vulnerable, and that video got so many views, and it just like fueled the growth of my channel. So when I finally came back from exchange and really wanted to focus on YouTube, I was able to do that. And obviously throughout all of my life stages, like, my content has shifted, and now it's very much about like my professional life and like this stage of life, which is like being in my young 20s and working and adjusting to like corporate life. But yeah, I think my overall purpose with YouTube is always just to like say the things that I wish my favorite YouTubers would say, because I don't think, I don't think people are honest enough on YouTube. I don't think they're vulnerable enough, and there's things that we're all thinking and we're all feeling, and just nobody says them. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. So that's my why. Vico asked, would you ever take a gap year for a personal project? Totally, I totally would. I just think right now I wanna work for at least a year and have good project experience for at least a year before I take any sort of time off. And I also want to make sure that I'm financially stable before doing that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a year to travel, taking a year to work on a personal project, like not at all. And hopefully, you know, I know a lot of employers are like totally okay with that. So if that's something that interests you, I would say make sure that that is a possibility at your job, that you can leave for a year and come back. I think that's like, I think it's beautiful. I think what an amazing thing that you could do. Okay, Anissa asked, how do you stop comparing yourself to other coworkers? That is so hard, especially when they're your own age. It's so hard. This is a cheesy quote, but comparison is the theft of joy, and it's so true. Comparing ourselves to others will never get us anywhere except being miserable. You have to tune inwards. You have to remember like your own strength. You have to remember that you're on your own journey. And honestly, I think journaling would help a lot. I don't compare myself to my coworkers very much right now because I don't physically see them, like because I'm from home. But at my old job, I really did. And like a lot of them were like getting ready to buy condos and whatever, because they were, you know, a lot of them were in privileged positions from their parents where they like already had the money to get a down payment. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm so behind. And I know that's different. You know, I would also compare them with projects too, but this was a big one where I was like, oh my God, I'm like so financially behind from my coworkers. But it's like, you just have to remember you're on your own journey. And then when it comes to work, like a lot of them were getting better projects than me. And like, that was just so hard. And I don't even have any advice because I just cried all the time. So I'm really sorry. Another question from Vico. Do you feel lonely sometimes, like having friends, but still feeling lonely and lost? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is so common, and I've felt this since I was in high school. I've always felt this way. Sometimes that feeling where you're surrounded by people, but you don't know if they like you, you're insecure, you know, you compare yourselves to other people and you're like, well, you know, I have 3 friends and they have 7, and like, you know, I think a lot of that comes from social media. It comes from seeing picture perfect friend groups on social media, and you want that, but you have to be grateful for what you have. Like I used to get this really bad, okay? I would, at the beginning of COVID, I would go for walks and I would see groups of like 10 friends, all socially distanced, like having a drink in the park. And I was like, I don't have 10 friends to sit and have drinks with, because a lot of my friends are individual friends. Like I know one person here and 2 people there, you know, we're not like a big group. And I was always really insecure about that. And on my birthday, I vowed to myself to stop comparing the friend stuff, to stop, like when I see it on Instagram, just be happy for them, you know, and understand that it's Instagram too. It's the highlight reel. And a thing that helped a lot was, so on my birthday, the restrictions were a lot looser. Like we could have gatherings because it was in the middle of the summer. And on my birthday, I invited all of my friends, all of my different friend groups and everything. I said, F it, I'm going to mix them. And everyone got along so well, and it was so beautiful. And I just felt so surrounded by love and friendship and that gratitude. And I'm still carrying that gratitude with me, because it's all about what you choose to focus on. You know, you can focus on the lack. You can say, oh my God, I only have 2 friends. Or you can say, fuck, I'm so lucky I have 2 amazing friends, right? Some people have 10 not so good friends. Like you're lucky to have 1 amazing friend. So, yeah, that's not something I talk about a lot, but it's definitely something that I experience. And a really good tip is, if you feel yourself starting to feel that way, and I'm pointing here because you feel that in your gut, turn off Instagram. I think Instagram is a big culprit for these lonely feelings. Turn it off. Okay. Daisy asked, do you still talk to your colleagues from your Big 4 job? Also love you. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you. I love you too. Do I still talk to my colleagues from my Big 4? I don't. I don't want to like shade anybody. Like there's really no shade, but the thought of seeing them brings back really uncomfortable memories. And I did hang out with one of them once, and she's so nice. She's so great. But when I left, I felt myself feeling like I was back in that place because, yeah, it wasn't good for me. So I don't really talk to them anymore. Like I genuinely wish them all well. I think they're all great, and like they're all really good people, and I wish that I could be friends with them, but it's a me thing. It's not a them thing. Like I just can't do it. All right, we're getting there, guys. We're almost done. Marissa asked, how do you go about your YouTube channel at work? Do they know about it? So this is a very timely, relevant question, because work actually just found out about my YouTube channel. So I didn't tell them. I read the social media policy when I started, and it just said like, as long as what you're doing doesn't hurt the reputation of the company or your own reputation, you're fine. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell them and create a potential drama when there doesn't need to be one. But then they found it, like obviously, like if you Google my name, this comes up. So it's not like it was a secret, but I was like, they could find it themselves. And they did. And it was a bit awkward because this is something that is like my little baby, is my YouTube channel. I'm very passionate about it. So I felt kind of like, and I was getting ready for the worst. I was getting ready for them to be like, you can't do that, like whatever. But they were so supportive. They were like, we love that you have interests outside of work. We love that you have hobbies. Just make sure that it's always professional, that you're always keeping client stuff confidential, and all of that. So I'm so grateful to work for a company that said that to me. Like, that's amazing. My old company didn't say that. So I think that's great. I don't know how to pronounce this. Isa, I don't know, I'm sorry, Isa. Have you ever considered studying something else than business? And if yes, what? Absolutely. I thought about two things. I thought about studying creative writing, and I thought about studying law. So creative writing is like, I don't know if, I mean, maybe because I have a YouTube channel, it could be obvious, but there is like a whole world inside of me that loves writing, that loves reading. Like, I loved Shakespeare. English class was like my favorite class. Like, I love that stuff, and I would have loved to study English literature, or creative writing, like something like that. And low-key, I have a dream of being financially secure enough that I can go back and do a second degree and study that stuff just for fun. Like, I literally have a dream about that, because I really love it, and I think it's something that, it makes me actually emotional to think about this, because I'm gonna get super real with you guys. I grew up with so much financial anxiety, worrying about how am I gonna provide for myself? How am I gonna, live the life that I want? And so I was always super fixated on money. So I said, what can I study that's gonna make me the most money? What career path is gonna make me the most money? So I studied business and I became a consultant. And I like consulting. Like, I'm lucky that it is actually like a really good job for me, but I made these decisions thinking about finance. So let's say I had super rich parents and I could study whatever I wanted, and who cares about a job? I've got a trust fund. Like, let's say that was my life. Whose life even is that? But let's say I'm like Olivia Jade, okay? And I can do whatever I want. She's my like rich girl go-to. I would have studied creative writing, and I would have read poetry by the river, and so somewhere inside of me is that person. And I hope that one day she gets a chance to come out. Yeah, I just made myself really vulnerable there. Okay. Okay, so I have some other questions that I screenshotted. Like I said, this video is so long, but I really want to answer all of your questions. Okay, so Kim asked how to deal with seasonal depression. I am still learning how to deal with this. I think especially working from home, it's going to be a really different experience. So far, my best tip is have a friend or a few friends that can be your go-to person that you can call. I'm so lucky that I have a really good friend named Mary. She's been in some of my videos, and literally we just FaceTime each other randomly throughout the day, and we like prop each other up and we work side by side. And that just helps me feel a lot less lonely, and it brings, a lot of happiness to my days. So I'm really grateful for that. That's a big tip. I'm looking into getting like one of those sunlights. So I will, update you guys in my vlogs of whether or not that works. But yeah, seasonal depression is so hard. Like, I dream of the beach every day. And I'm sorry that I can't give a better answer. Okay, Isabel asked, what are my favorite brunch places? So I used to be a big brunch gal. Oh, financial mistake, brunch. I'm just into like a greasy spoon kind of brunch. Like, I had a really nice brunch this summer from Oxford. It's called Cafe Oxford in NDG, here in Montreal. And yeah, that's really good. A random spot in Ottawa that's like so good is called Wilf and Ada's. Whenever I'm home, pre times that we live in, I would go there, and it was really good. Oh my God, there's this place, I love brunch, place in Montreal called Cafe Melbourne. So good, but I think they unfortunately closed during the pandemic. It's in the Mile End. Haven't been in a long time, but It was so good. And also Arthur's. It's like a classic, and I kind of hate the vibe there, if that makes sense. It's very like snooty. Like if you live in Montreal, you know, like Arthur's is like, it's like a clique, it's like a cult, but their food is so good. Okay, Kiana asked, she gave me 3 questions, so I'm gonna answer all of them. How are you doing mentally? Not good, sis. Not good. I'm doing better today, but yeah, not the best. I'm really grateful for my therapist though. We had such a good session last night, and like I don't want to go into too much detail because it's like very personal, but basically just exploring a lot of the reasons for why I kind of have this constant anxiety that like is not triggered by anything. Like everything is perfect in my life, you know, on the surface. If someone looked at me, they'd be like, wow, her life is great, but I still feel this constant anxiety. So we're kind of exploring like the reasons why and how I can cope with that and overcome that. But it's definitely not easy. Okay, if your job was to remain a work from home type job, would you move back to Ottawa or anywhere else? I love this question. So my job has always been a work from home job, actually. We have an office in Montreal, but we also have offices in other cities that you can move to. And if you want to be remote, you can. So I'm so lucky that I've kind of always had this option. Would I move back to Ottawa? No, not yet anyway. I totally see myself living in Ottawa when I have kids and when I'm, you know, ready to start a family. I think it's an amazing place for that kind of lifestyle. But when you're young, it's not the most fun city, especially after having lived in Montreal. Like I don't see myself going back to Ottawa anytime soon. Would I move anywhere else? Yes, I have BC on my mind. I have Toronto on my mind. Toronto would only go for like a year. But yeah, that's on my mind. And BC is somewhere that I really want to try living. It's so beautiful there. So that's an option. And I think I've said this before, but I used to think about moving to the US a lot, but won't be doing that right now. Okay, and her third question was, she said, you can make a separate video on this on its own, but what is it like living alone? I'm gonna be living alone next year and I'm scared as fuck. So I do want to make a video about this, and please let me know if you guys would like to see that. But what's it like living alone? It is amazing and so hard. I think it depends a lot on your own personality. Like I have always, I think, had this craving for my own space. And especially now that I like to vlog and stuff, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I could get a roommate, you know, I'd save a lot of money. But doing my vlogs and stuff, I love just having my own space. I love being able to decorate whatever I want. I love being able to wear whatever I want. I love, you know, if there's a mess, it's my fault. Like I really love that about living alone. But obviously the downside is loneliness, and especially when you're a girl too, you can worry about your safety. Like you can feel less safe. Like that's just an unfortunate reality. I think, you know, making sure, like for anyone who's a girl who's going to be living alone, make sure that you get that you live in a building where you feel safe, or that you live in a neighborhood where you feel safe. Like I think that's really important because, you know, like peace of mind and about your safety, I think is number one. It's the number one thing for living alone. Number two is the loneliness, but you can have friends over, you can FaceTime your friends. Like, yeah, it's all about personal preference, I think. But overall, I really like living alone, and I don't see that changing probably until I get a partner. Who knows when that will be. Okay, and another question from Jess. How do you balance treating yourself with saving money? I love that question. Because it's important to do both. What I have realized recently is treating yourself feels so much better when there's no guilt attached to it. So if you're treating yourself on new clothes every single week, you're gonna start to feel guilty, right? You're not saving your money. You're like, oh, treat yourself. But it's like, well, you're maybe treating yourself too much. And then there's guilt associated with it. So you're not actually treating yourself, you're kind of hurting yourself. So if you save first and you check all of your boxes first, treating yourself is going to feel so much better. And it's just going to motivate you to stay in this positive zone of saving, achieving your financial goals, and rewarding yourself with, like, treat yourself has lost its meaning, I think. You know, we're like, oh, treat yourself, like life's short, YOLO. But like, what does it actually mean to treat yourself? I think it means to reward yourself, and make yourself feel genuinely good. And you're gonna feel so genuinely good when you can, let's say I really want a new winter coat this year, okay? It's like $400 from Aritzia, I really want it. I could go buy it now, but then I'll feel a bit guilty. But if I wait and make sure that I've saved a certain amount and that I've achieved my goals, it's gonna feel so good when I get that winter coat. It's gonna feel so much better. So I think finding the balance is kind of like that. Okay, Tricia asked, I hope I said your name right. It's really hard on Instagram. How do you get into the routine of journaling every morning? It's something that I want to incorporate but can't stick to it. Wondering if you have any tips. So, great question. I used to be really bad with journaling. I would like just do it sporadically. I think having like a set time when you do it, so I do it as soon as I wake up, it makes it literally part of your routine. Just like you brush your teeth right before bed, right? I think most people do. So journal like right before bed, you know, have a specific time when you do it so that it's a non-negotiable. So I do it as soon as I wake up. And that really, really helps. Another thing that I think can help you get into the routine of it is something like the 5-minute journal that actually has prompts. So, you know, it's like, okay, I do my 5-minute journal every morning. I fill out the prompts. And then when you get into the routine of that, maybe you do it for a week or two, add your second journal. So you do your 5-minute journal prompts and then you do your brain dump prompts. And I think that's a really good way to get it into your routine. Okay, and you guys want to laugh. So I screenshotted a few of those questions and I swiped to the next question. And if you guys know, you know.
That could slay one day and then look homeless the next. Balance, baby.
I ain't never seen two pretty best friends. Always one of them got to be ugly. Oh my God. I've been back like on the TikTok game. Oh fuck, it's so funny. It's so funny. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for watching my 1 hour long Q&A. I really appreciate it. I hope this was fun. If I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. I literally tried to answer every single one, but I know there's a few that I missed just because this video would be way too long otherwise. And there's a lot of questions about YouTube, so if you ask me about YouTube, I'm just probably gonna do it in a separate video. Like starting a YouTube channel, I did get a lot of questions about that. So I think that deserves its separate video. So if I missed your question, I will get to it eventually. I'm so sorry. I literally feel bad in my core. Okay, anyway, whatever. I have to go to work now. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye.
Do anything for the cash. Do anything for